Greetings, friends. Top of the Wednesday morning to you. It is 6:49 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is October 13, 2024. Glad to have you. How do you do? Well, I certainly hope you are doing well. In spite of all that is happening, the love of God, the unending love of God, the unmatched, unconditional love of God has kept us. And because of His faithfulness, we are here. We made it. Thank God. God is an awesome God. Well, this morning, I am queuing up our regularly scheduled program, and that is, we're looking at Daniel and Nahum. Daniel and Nahum's account of the flow of event, Hitler and his Nazi party, the fall of modern Babylon, modern Assyria, and modern Babylon also, of course. But wherever you have modern Babylon, look around and you will see modern Assyria. That's what we will endeavor to do. So we have looked at Daniel chapter 11. Hopefully this morning we'll move into 12, and that's where we're going. Quite a profound and timely revelation. And so we want to put our hands, our fingers on the pulse of the final drama of earth history. Because everything is made plain in the Bible. Some have been fulfilled, some are being fulfilled, and some will be fulfilled. We need to know what point of the timeline of prophecy we are, because things will be fulfilled with us. It's not just about history and the future. No. Sometimes we read and all we do, we left things in the annals of history, and we read and we leave things in the tomorrow. We're talking about the world today. The world today is our world. We are responsible for that, and as a matter of fact, especially God's people who are the repositories of His truth, His message for the hour. Today is our world. Today's world is our world. And as we have shared from time to time based on Daniel chapter 2, the image that he saw, that Nebuchadnezzar saw in his vision, as we have seen clearly that we are living in the time of the 10 toes, the 10 toes of that image. Those represent the universal. 10 is a universal number, 7 is a complete and a perfect number, 4 is a 4 compass worldwide, and 3 is the Godhead. So we must understand that when the Bible points out that this is our world today, we must zoom into that. Zoom into that. And that's what we are here for, to help us to zoom into the world today. And we're going to see the fulfillment, as we have pointed out earlier, that there will America and the West, America and our allies, the leader of the now world, today's world, will be putting up a religious-like form. The Bible calls it the palace of his tabernacle, as we have read in Daniel chapter 11:45, the seat of palace of his tabernacle. And 11, we are going to read again from verse 40, and then we shall invite the Lord's presence. The time, we don't have a lot of time today, so we'll endeavor to jump into the Word. So at this time, we want to refresh ourselves and where we are. And if you may turn with me, please, to Daniel chapter 11. And put it up on my screen here. Daniel chapter 11, 40 through 43. I just said that Daniel doesn't use it. Where we find Babylon, we'll find Assyria, but Daniel doesn't use the term Assyria, but rather the king of the north, or the king of the south, or the king of the north and the king of the south, really. But it identifies the English-speaking Christian world, or the Protestant world, otherwise referred to as the West, the Western world. So let us read. And 11:42 through 43, first of all, says, and at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with horsemen, and with many ships. And he shall enter into the countries, and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. But these shall escape out of his hand, Edom and Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon. He shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. 43. But he shall have power over the treasures of gold, and over the treasure, and over silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt. And the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. Of course, we looked at the history, and we look at our map, and we saw that we have to go back to Daniel chapter 8, as we have done. If you didn't get a chance to look at our first video in this series, the accounts of Daniel and Nahum, that's where we are. We have done it recently, so please take a look at that video regarding the West. The American-led West will be planting, according to verse 45, the seat of his palace, of his tabernacle. And the term used shows us that it is something that is religious, something that gives the impression that it is religious, because we know that the last world power will be led by religion. Yes, the last world power will be led by the religion. It will be a repeat of the Dark Ages government. So, as we look at that, where we shall pray, and that is Daniel 11, And the last verse says, and he shall plant the tabernacle. You know, when you use the term tabernacle, associate with religion. The tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. He shall come to his end and none shall help him. We have traced the king of the north all the way from the kingdom of Alexander the Great to the English-speaking Christianized world. England, led out by England, started out in Germany, led out by England. And after World War II, we know that England has taken a back seat, and it is the United States-led Western alliances that is responsible for this charge of planting the palace of his tabernacle, branch of his palace called the seat of his tabernacle. We'll review that after we pray. Oh, come, let us bow down and worship. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. Please pray with us. Our merciful and compassionate Father, thank you for your love. Thank you for your mercy. Thank you for your never-ending love. Your love that brings to us all the information that we need to be on the right track. Yes, the road will be steep and narrow, and we will not have the convenience of carrying many things or anything at all. And that's why we are here, to strip ourselves of the world and be single for your service. Be with us and help us to brace ourselves for today's world and the final drama that is about to occur. Bless us now, bless everyone that stops by, here now and later. And we thank you for what you will reveal to us in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, God bless you. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Welcome to family worship. Touch a button. Tell a friend we are here. Sorry for breaking that screen there. We're moving right along. So, having looked at the charts, I have some charts here that I want to show you. First of all, when we read Daniel 8, we were introduced to the Alexander's kingdom. The Alexander's kingdom, in form of a ram with a notable horn. This is Alexander the Great. Came forth, his foot not touching the ground. Let's see that screen there. His foot not touching the ground. I hope it, I know the light is blotting this out. Light is so bright. But change the direction so it can be seen. Alright. Okay, so the Medo-Persia Empire, one horn, the Persians, Medo-Persian one, it's more powerful than the other. One came and then the other one merged, but so this is the Medo-Persian Empire. in the form of a ram. A ram is a male sheep. Medo-Persia was overthrown by Greece, the Alexander kingdom. You find that in verse 5 of Daniel chapter 8. And he came from the west, not his feet not touching the ground. In other words, he flew in the air, demonstrating the swiftness that he overtook the kingdom of Medes and the Persians. And he's referred to as Alexander the Great. This horn is representing the civil power. Down here is showing the death of Alexander. The death of Alexander. Because the Bible says the horn was broken off. You can see that? Yes. There's a broken horn. Alright. So what we're left with is the four generals. Four generals came up in the place of Alexander. He had no heir to his kingdom, no children. And so his four generals, Lysimachus, Cassandra, Ptolemy, and Seleucus, whichever order you want to put it on. This is a basic Adventist prophetic word. You have been hearing this. On the very day you become a Seventh-day Adventist. So the four generals took the kingdom, and out of one of them came an exceedingly great horn that circled the compass, the world, so to speak. This is where the Roman Empire originated. I have another picture of a map. A picture of a map here. Latitude, longitude. So what I've done in this map is to show the ancient world. If you see the Red Sea here, so you know here is Egypt, Africa, Mediterranean Sea, so the colors of the letters, Babylon would be in red, the brown would be Alexander Empire, Medo-Persia, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and where do I have Rome? The Roman Empire is in black. Roman Empire is in black. I'll put up a chart because I have it on screen, so I'll put it up. Maybe not this morning, but we're just here to familiarize so we can appreciate the Bible, that prophecies and history go hand in hand. the Black Sea. So Babylon first in red, so it would have covered the territory there. If you see the common territory, Egypt and Palestine. So this is the ancient map of Babylon. You know, Iraq, Babylon, modern day Iraq. So after Babylon, we had Medo-Persia. Medo-Persia took over from Babylon, so the blue, if you see the blue line, follow the blue line, and it encompasses the red, so it took over. But then you see it extend a little over here, close to India. It's just showing that it expand the kingdom a little. That's the key here, to expand. But it pretty much was confined to the basic territory that it overtook. Medo-Persia, the blue encircles the red of Babylon. And Greece, the brown, you see the brown line, it encircles that, but it expands very much so to enclose all this area of India. So Alexander the Great, he expanded when he took over the kingdom, and he went all the way up into Germany, up there, Macedonia. What's this? Greece, Asia Minor, and Thrace, Macedonian, Asia Minor. As a matter of fact, Alexander also built the city of Alexandria in Egypt. So this brown line, you know, it encompasses the territory, the same territory of Babylon and Medo-Persia, but it extended significantly, showing that Alexander the Great extended the territory. He was determined to conquer. His blood was conquering in his blood. And so that's why he expanded the kingdom that he took over very, very significantly. And I see my my internet is acting up everywhere. I have to move this. Yeah, so I expanded significantly. Let me check something here. Sorry about that. Okay, I think I had a break in transmission for some reason. I'm having a break in transmission, but I have a backup that doesn't matter. Alright, so after Alexander it was Rome. Rome is the black line. And what can I tell you? That exceeding great horn that we saw is a demonstration of Rome encompassing the same territory, but expanded greatly. Rome expanded greatly all the way up into Germany, Europe, Rome. That's why it says that Rome east, west, north, and south. Alright. Hopefully that that will you'll appreciate what the history and the prophecy. That's our purpose. Now this is the 4th division of Alexander Empire. The same territory, but these are his generals. This is Alexander's empire, same territory that he conquered. Egypt is in, Ptolemy is in Egypt. Make sure you don't miss this one now. Ptolemy down Egypt. Took over the south. Seleucus east. And Cassandra and Lysimachus the rest of north, west north or something like that. We get to the king of the north by Lysimachus up here overthrew Cassandra. Lysimachus overthrew Cassandra. Alright? And fuses that kingdom into one. Then Seleucus overthrew Lysimachus, meaning that he consolidated, all these three were consolidated into one. And so we were left with Seleucus and Ptolemy. Seleucus in the north, Ptolemy in the south. And we get what we refer to as the king of the north and the king of the south. And what we have observed that the battle, we have said already that Ptolemy was where Rome originated. Rome, the kingdom of Rome originated from Ptolemy. And so the battle was between the king of the north and the king of the south. And the Bible has shown us clearly that, of course, we know those kingdoms are overthrown. They are not, we read and we examined that there's no one kingdom that lived for hundreds and hundreds of years. So if the Bible talks about the king of the north today, we have to follow the line of prophecy and history and be able to identify it. It is essential that we identify the king of the earth, and we did. We identified the only kingdom that fits the script in terms of controlling these areas especially of Egypt and Palestine, and the fact that Edom and Moab, and there are some that escaped it, according to what the Bible, what we read. And, of course, Great Britain emerges as the king of the north when the Mohammedan kingdom or the Mohammedan Turkish Empire, whatever the name is. But Rome held the title, but Rome did not hold the title forever. So if you are one of those Adventists that are perpetuating that theory that Rome is the king of the north, I hope you will do your homework and realize that it is not. Very essential, because we need to put our finger on the pulse of the event, final event of Bible prophecy. Alright, with that review, if you want to read up more on that, call the number 1-800-729-7494. Get the materials and read up. Get your history and your prophecy down pat before it is too late. Now, since the 1940s, World War II, America has changed hands and is now bearing King of the North, America and the West. That is where we look at Assyria, modern Assyria, is the other name for the Western-led alliance of the US, is Assyria. Assyria, the capital of Assyria is Nineveh. So the capital of modern Assyria would be America. America is modern Nineveh, the capital of Assyria, modern Assyria. So with that baseline, let us go, and I'm going to share. This screen for you. I can get these out my way. I'm sharing. Okay, I'm sharing. If you want to follow the notes, you know where it is. This morning I have with me my water, and I have 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C bubbling up in some strawberry juice, strawberry smoothie. 1,000 milligrams vitamin C in strawberry smoothie. So I take a tot of that every now and then. At the same time, excuse my throat, and it acts up if it does. Hopefully it doesn't. But that's a lot to ask for, knowing it. Knowing my thorn in the flesh. So, we're going to run down this slide here, these slides, and see where we are. Okay, so we talk about the glorious holy mountain, the planting of his tabernacle in the glorious holy mountain. And we look at Mount Sinai as a place possible that is between the Mediterranean Sea and Mount Horeb, the place where Sinai or Horeb, that are referred to as the mountain of God. Psalm 68:17, the chariot of God, or 20,000, even 1,000 of angels. The Lord is among them as in Sinai, in the holy place. And of course, Exodus 3, verse 1, brings about Moses. Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God. And we showed that we are endeavoring to show that Jerusalem, the promised land, the place where God has designated that the headquarters of his church will be, with the 144,000, Mount Zion, that can't be soiled. So if the Bible says that the King of the North will plant a churchy thing in the Middle East, then we have to find out where that is by exempting or eliminating is the word I'm looking for, by eliminating Mount Zion where God will put up his headquarters, because it couldn't be at the spot where God would say. That's why it says that between the seas of the glorious holy mountain and the spots, the different areas between the seas, including Mount Zion, where the 144,000 will be to carry out the loud cry and to rescue the people from Babylon, has to be exempt, has to be not to be considered. But at the same time, when this prophecy fulfilled, we will see. But it couldn't be where the Lord will have his tabernacle. It will be a counterfeit anyway, for sure. And as we have discovered, it will be the initiative for the final ecclesiastical world power, as stated in Revelation chapter 17. The woman riding the scarlet-colored beast is the last world power. We also alluded to the fact that if the West is challenged by the East, capitalism is challenged by communism, what will be the future of communists? Well, we show that if the West will fall in this war coming up, then there must be a challenger and one who will be successful, one who will prevail. That will be communism. But we did say that before they can realize that they have the power, they get the chance to rule a kingdom, probation would have been closed and the plagues would have been ready to fall. Therefore, they will win, but they will not rule. And that is the phase that moves us into Armageddon. We're talking about Armageddon, the place called Armageddon. That is where they might have a say, but it will be of no real consequence. Alright, having done that, we are going to go into something new now, and the good news. What's the good news in all of this? What's the good news? Well, the answer is the good news is the deliverance. The good news is what? The deliverance. Although the United States and our allies is going to fall in the massive war, but it is at this time, at the time when she is coming to her end, right in the smack in that center there, smack in that middle between the demise of the king of the north and the setting up of the one world power under religion. Right there we are looking for good news, God's church. Brothers and sisters, right there we are looking for that good news. So the good news is what we are focusing on now. So when the king of the north is being punished, as it were, that Jesus will stand up and deliver Remember, we talk about the time of trouble. Will deliver everyone who has overcome. And through the power of our Lord, consequently have their names etched in the book of life. Yes, certainly this will be the 144,000, God's army. Read it up in Joel chapter 2. He will have an army that will rescue the world. And remember the plan of God for Israel that was not fulfilled, that plan that we read about in Prophets and Kings and a great controversy. Says that Israel, the purpose of Israel was to expand their borders so that they'll influence or encompass the world. God used always one people to reach, one person or one people to reach many. And He's doing the same thing at this time. So this is our glory, hallelujah, deliverance. This deliverance, though, involves being delivered from the hypocrites, the tares, and being delivered from the political death decree. So, certainly it will be the 144,000 first fruits, but there will be a second fruit as outlaid, as is outlined in Revelation 7. And by God's grace, we will be faithful and be a part of this deliverance. And certainly later it will be a great multitude for the second fruit. In other words, this deliverance of Daniel chapter 12, and we're going into Daniel 12 now, that's the part, that's where we are living, between Daniel 11 and 12. The 144,000 at that time of Ezekiel 9 will be delivered. It means, as we have seen, that God's people will be delivered during a time of a great war. Let me repeat that for emphasis. It means, as we have seen, that God's people will be delivered during or at a time of a great war. Read up about that war in Zechariah 14, starting at verse 1. The greatest of all wars, which will be concentrated in the promised land. Timely Greetings, Volume 2, number 33, page 11, verifies what we have just said here. That it states this, and I read, delivering the righteous, He thoroughly separates the righteous from among the wicked. He thoroughly separates the righteous from among the wicked. He puts the good fish in the vessel and cast out the bad. He shall cleanse His people from sin and sinners. Again, speaking about Daniel 11, verse 45. Going on now into Daniel 12, verse 1, speaking about the deliverance of God's people. So it is at that time, when the king of the north is coming to a close, coming to the end of the world today for the world tomorrow, that God is to deliver His people by removing the sinners from among His faithful and true ones within the church. Judgment begins first in the house of God. It is also at this time that the special resurrection is to take place. According to verse 2 of Daniel 12, we know that this deliverance is a big deliverance. It also involves a special resurrection where those who died in faith under the three angels or the third angel's message will be raised to join the forces of those who are alive. And this is not talking about the second coming of Christ. It is close to the second coming of Christ, but all these things are happening to prepare the way for his second coming. I'll read the verse here, Daniel 12:2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Inspiration is found in 2 TG7, page 11. That's volume 2 of the Timely Greetings. Get a hold of these. Call the number 1-800-729-7494 and ask for these materials. The laymen need to know that God is using laymen to finish this gospel, and he has made available the things that you need, material that you need. So call now and get it. Now, it says here, and I read, do you not realize that not only the time of trouble is at our door, that is, but even the special resurrection? This is a subject that when I came into Adventism, it was a well-known subject that was taught and understood. The special resurrection, I learned it as. No, the partial resurrection was the term used then. But it has other phrases or other terms that like the special resurrection or the resurrection of Daniel chapter 12. But now all of a sudden, it is this resurrection is merged, is thought to have merged in the first resurrection. So it is explained commonly among us as Seventh-day Adventists that the special resurrection of Daniel chapter 12 is talking about the first resurrection at the second coming of Christ. It can't be, brothers and sisters. Normally we have evidence, biblical evidence to prove our point when we make it. So let me just do a sidebar here and prove that for you. I'll read the text again. It says, and many, not all, remember this is one clue too, all the righteous dead will be raised in the first resurrection. In other words, that first resurrection, which is at the coming of Christ, it will be all who are written in the book of life or retained in the Lamb's book of life will have the permission and will have the stamp of approval so that they will come up. Their graves will be open and they will come up. All the wicked will remain in the grave after the millennium, after the 1,000 years. Now, back up from that resurrection and examine what the Bible is saying. The Bible reads, many of them that sleep in the dust, many in the dust shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. That's the reading. Let me just read a little more here, get a gist of something. Right. Verse 2, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake some to everlasting life, and some of them everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteous as the star for ever and ever. And it goes on, but though Daniel shut up the book and seal the book even to the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, knowledge shall be increased. Now what have we discovered here? Out of that many, it goes on to say that there are those, some will shine. Right? It tells us that, and they that be wise. So they among the many that be wise. Again, the opposite of being wise is foolish. So there will be a combination of wise and foolish, and as it started out, wise and foolish, and those who will be raised, right, some to shame and everlasting contempt, and some to everlasting life. Ah. Well, you are still stuck, and you're saying that that doesn't explain it. Well, let's go to Revelation. Turn with me to Revelation 1. Because this is the prophecy. Now let's go to John's Revelation and have him reveal this prophecy for us. Revelation 1 and verse 7. I read in your hearing. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him. What's this talking about? The revelation of the second coming. Continue. And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. And every eye shall see him. And they also which pierced him. Now I read that again. That's Revelation chapter 1 and verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him. Huh? So at the second coming of Christ, we will have those who crucified Christ. All right, let me ask you a question. Are those who crucified Christ living today? If they are not living today, how will they get, if Christ were to come now, argument's sake? It includes, those who will see him is included in, or are included in those who will see him, right? And of course we know that his countenance will slay the wicked afterward, and they will go and join those who are in the grave for the second resurrection. But what is hard to see? What is difficult in this? To see that Daniel prophesied a mixed resurrection. That's another terminology. A mixed resurrection, a partial resurrection, a special resurrection. And those who will come up in that resurrection as a resurrection of a mixed group, and this will happen during the time of trouble, during the Great War. It will be a part of Michael standing up to deliver his people. While he's delivering those from the church, he's delivering those who died under the three angels' messages, the third angel's messages in faith. And he also, that will extend to the world later on. But this is the first batch. And this is a different, clearly different resurrection from the first resurrection of the righteous. You can't argue with this, because if you put it in the first resurrection, you are going to conclude that wicked will come up in the first resurrection. You see that? So, thus basic reasoning will show us that it is. Alright, that's just a sidebar. If you want more on that, read early writings 286, 285, 286. I'll just have it on my screen here. Just finish this part. Do you now realize that not only the time of trouble, and we read that part, delivered from their graves, you can find more about the special resurrection also in early writings, page 285. Write this down. Early writings 285, 286, and the Great Controversy, page 637. That's the Great Controversy 637. We're told that only those who overcome every defect, who would rather die than break one of God's commandments, will be sealed. That's volume 5, page 53. And consequently will be delivered. So the question is, are you ready? Am I ready? Are we ready? If we are, we will be delivered, and our names will remain in the Lamb's Book of Life. Alright, so that's it for that. We are going to look for a moment, introduce this. We'll pick it up another morning. Join us weekdays morning and on Sabbath mornings for our plug this thing in. Please join us for our exposition, the rest of all this. We're going to introduce Nahum this morning. Nahum will, so Nahum's account of the flow. Remember, we're looking at Daniel's and Nahum's account of the flow of events, and we have gone back and forth, go through history. Sometimes we have to go back in order to establish our position here, where we are in the world today, and that's what we are doing. Nahum beholds two great powers in conflict, projected to a day when everything on wheels move like lightning. That's what Nahum will bring out. Then, by way of a sharp contrast, he focuses his attention on one who walks openly on the mountains, not obscurely in the valleys, one who publishes peace rather than war. You need that. He urges Judah to be faithful in order to effect that peace, assuring her that the wicked will no longer be in our midst, and that